Welcome back to the first team. Joe DeLeone, Ryan Roberts. Today we're doing another scouting report episode. We're breaking down two of the top safeties in the 2025 NFL draft, part of summer scouting, that being Malaki Starks from Georgia and Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State. Ryan, let's get right into it, talking about a guy that I'm very juiced up about, a guy that I know that you're very juiced up about, one of the best players in the 2025 NFL draft, and will certainly be featured at the top of the class when we put out our final big board. Malaki Starks is rare, man. This dude can do some crazy, crazy stuff that you don't see from a guy that he's listed at 6'1", 205. Big frame, can fly all over the field. We'll get into the details. Any background you can give our listeners before we do that?
I mean, he's like one of the most boring background kids of all time. He went to Jefferson High School in the state of Georgia. He stayed in state to play for the hometown Bulldogs because 5-star by 3 different platforms, Joe. He was a 5-star, number 4 overall player in the 2022 recruiting class by 247 Sports, 5-star by ESPN, 5-star by On3. The lone exception was Rivals, that had him as a 4-star and the number 62 overall player in the class. So they were a little bit lower compared to everybody else, but he was a 5-star consensus across the board. Otherwise, big time track athlete as well, which I think translates a little bit. He was a 10.5, 500-meter runner, but he was also a state champion in the long jump, 24-foot, 9-inch long jumper coming out of Jefferson. And Joe, he was an option quarterback in high school, man. Option quarterback.
Oh, I love that. I did not know that part.
Yes. He was an option quarterback.
Way to tie it all together.
State champion for the Jefferson team as well. I think won state championships in football and track and field during his Jefferson career. So number 10 overall player, 5-star, option quarterback, track star. That is Malaki Starks coming out of the state of Georgia.
Yeah, no shock hearing about his background. He was one of these guys that, ends up at Georgia, was highly recruited, and he was highly recruited for a reason. Only listed at 6'1", but I think what's pretty notable, Ryan, he's pretty long. He's got great length. And then you mentioned the track athleticism. It shows up on tape. He is able to be a true sideline to sideline safety. But I think what makes him so rare as a prospect, Ryan, is that he's got the frame to play in the box. He's got the frame that we typically see with a strong safety. So he's this moldable, Jesus Christ.
Multiplicative.
He can play
multiplicative.
I don't know why that didn't. I woke up at 5 this morning. That word did not come out as I was hoping it would.
You always have a lot of excuses for why you mess up on stuff. It's pretty funny.
I only make the excuses when I mess up. And usually when I make the excuses, it's because I woke up at 5 in the morning and it is late now. I'm tired.
You know who was also up at 5 in the morning, Joe, with a child?
Yeah, that's an excuse.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Well, you can make the excuse if you make a mistake. It's okay.
No, I don't want to.
People are forgiving.
I don't make excuses because grinders don't make excuses, sir. They don't make them.
To refocus on Starks, he is able to wear multiple hats within a defense because of the size speed combination that he brings to the position. I think that what he displays in coverage, just this rare fluidness to stick with guys very easily. He's got to get the length to come up and attack the ball in the air. And I wouldn't necessarily classify him as like a super dominant run defender. I don't know if he brings the power that he has behind his pads as much as he could, but he's a really good tackler. He flies downfield and comes down hard. And when he takes the right angle, he can make a really, really easy, consistent play and limit any yards after contact.
Yeah.
This guy does everything. It's the simplest way to put it. He does everything so well.
So his first game of the year, he had this crazy interception, which I think was off of a post-wheel combination where he ran with the wheel on the inside. But from the broadcast copy, not watching all 22, I thought he was a corner at first because it was just so natural how he turned and ran and speed turned and flipped his hips and located the football and came down with the interception, Joe. And I remember I was actually texting the Wrens, dude, and I was like, dude, I don't know who 24 is for Georgia, but like, holy smokes, he just made a crazy play. And I joked at the time and I was like, I don't need to see anything more from this kid. That kid's a first-round pick, guaranteed. And I was clearly joking at the time, but looking back on it, I was right. I mean, like, that's just what it was, dude. He is that story is to showcase, this is a once in a generate. I don't want to call him a generational player yet, but he
No,
might be a
no, come
generational
on.
player.
We're only donning that on a couple guys a year, and I don't think it's unfair. I think it's necessary for talking about a safety, especially because we're in
Right.
an era where safeties, for whatever reason, are not getting paid, and they're also not getting drafted very highly, which might impact his draft stock. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think it is perfectly necessary to bring up when we're talking about him because he's very, very rare that he's worthy of going in the top 10.
He has rare coverage skills. He is the best coverage safety that I think has come out in quite a long time. I mean, when you talk about him versus like a Kyle Hamilton, that's an interesting debate because Kyle Hamilton is such a unique size profile and everything, right? That's what makes him a rare player. This is a young man that, whether he's playing middle of the field, he's playing too high, he's playing some man coverage, he's working from off, like there is just rare coverage upside. This kid could legitimately be a corner if he wanted to be, and probably a good one on the NFL level. But it's just the fact that he is such a matchup nightmare on the back end for defense because he can do everything. He really can. This is one of those guys, Joe, that when we get into obviously the areas of weakness or areas of improvement conversation here, it's a very short list, man. Like, this is where we find the guys every single year that we call no-brainers or don't overthink them guys, right? Malaki Starks is one of them this year. This is if his grade stays after the season what it is now, he's the highest graded safety I've ever had in my career so far. This kid is just a player that does everything well, and he makes it look so easy. I think you also at times can underestimate how good of an athlete he is. Because again, this is a 24-9 long jumper in high school, a 10,500-meter runner. Like, this kid's going to do some freaky stuff when we get to the testing period of this conversation as well. And at 6'1", 205 pounds, my leading question would be to anyone out there: if you don't like Malaki Starks, why? What's the weakness that you see glaring? Because you could always improve technical stuff. And sure, is there more consistency of angles at times that needs to be needed? Sure. Is there maybe playing the football all the time consistently in the air? Fine. But like, that's minute stuff is so easily correctable and fixable because this is a 20-year-old young man that best football is still in front of him. I think if you have doubts about Malaki Starks as being a really good player on the next level, I think you're overthinking this one, man, because he just does not have many glaring weaknesses, if any at all.
Well, you underestimate. You underestimate and give a lot of credit to some of the mouth breathers out there that are going to find ways to over-evaluate this kid. And it's already happened. I mean, I've posted clips and I've got people quote tweeting with just insane things to like knock him for. I think I sent it to you. Somebody quote tweeted me and was like, oh, he needs to improve as a run defender. Or I'm gonna find this because
I thought he said like a processor or something, right? Like, wasn't it something with like his instincts or something like that? I thought it was like processing instincts or some weird jargon like that. I don't know, man. I saw clean in pretty much everything he did, and plus in just about everything as well. Like, this
here was it. As somebody said, he needs to develop his play recognition to be careful about his overcommitment. But he's absolutely a top prospect. So this person, I'm not going to give him credit, but this person did say they were a top prospect. But I just think that's it's like what you talked about. When we have a player that's this good, for some weird reason, a lot of the general public and other analysts, quotation marks, love to do this bit where they have to nitpick. They, for some reason, go, well, I don't know if I see anything wrong with him, and I have to find something wrong. Guys, it's okay to admit that a player is really well-rounded. It's okay to say that.
Well, I think that for a lot of people, and again, I'm not going to call people clickbait, but saying that a player is that good and a generational type of player, it doesn't give clicks, right? Like, the clicks is to be different than someone else's.
You say that now, but that's going to be in the title of this YouTube video.
Oh my god! Oh gosh! But I mean, I just think that some people would like to be different because that generates people reacting to it, right? And that reaction is what drives up viewership, right? And I get that, I fully understand, but I am a evaluator that takes this very seriously. That doesn't like to just paint an improper picture or a false narrative around a player. Malaki Starks is about as easy as an evaluation as I have had. Actually, he might be the easiest evaluation, him or Will Johnson so far, where I'm just like, guys, I don't know what I'm overthinking here. Like, I really don't. If there's anything in the weakness column, it is just small technical things that you need to be a little bit more proficient on the next level when things get a little faster, a little bit tighter windows, that type of stuff. When I'm talking about
But this is a true junior that we're talking about.
20 years old. He's only 20 years old right now. So we're talking about him like he's a 5-year NFL vet, but that's how far along and how advanced he is, man. Like he's just rare in just about everything he does.
To wrap him up in a bow before we get to the next guy, I really don't think that one, there's going to be a world where he slips. I think two, he will be one of these players that his position is going to impact where he gets picked. I compared a little bit with Will Johnson to Brock Bowers, and I'm going to make this comparison even further with Malaki Starks. He is good enough to go in the top 5, but we are just not in a modern version of the NFL that teams are willing to do that. I think throughout this process from this week, the minute that we're talking about him forward until the pick is in at the end of April in 2025, we're going to talk about him as one of the best prospects in the class. And then I have a feeling he's probably going to go at like pick 15. And I think that we made that same projection with,
I don't agree.
Dude, it's going to happen. And I'm not saying that like it's an overthink thing. It's just the reality that we live in.
I just don't think the top of this class is that good where that's going to happen, right? Like there's some classes where guys will dip, but it's because there's a top heavy kind of group. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't know, Joe, from what I've watched so far, I do not have a ton of high first round grades right now. I think I only have like,
no, I've got like 3.
Right. So I don't know. I'm just looking at this class right now. I think that this is going to be perhaps the largest NFL draft class we've ever seen. Okay, it's gonna be the highest NFL draft, the largest NFL draft class we've ever seen. But I don't know if this is gonna be a top heavy group, man. I really don't see that right now, unless a lot of development happens with a lot of players. So I just think that in the end, this is gonna be one of the true first rounders that's gonna go top 10. I just have a feeling that we're I don't think he's gonna fall much. I just really don't when I watch him.
I just don't think it's a fall though. If he goes pick 12,
right?
I don't think that's a fall. I think that's a really realistic. It's a very high spot for a safety to go these days.
Where did Jamal Adams go? How high did Jamal Adams go?
Yeah, but that was 2015.
I don't know. I need to look this up.
That wasn't that recently.
No, that one wasn't super recent, but I feel like we've had one that was pretty recently that was pretty dang high as well. I don't know who I'm thinking of though. It's 14. When did Minka go? Was he like 12 or something?
2017. I think it was the 2017 draft. So that was from the 2025 draft. That was 8 drafts ago.
Right. Wait, who are we talking about?
Who are you talking about? Jamal Adams. I don't think we've had a safety that's gone that high since.
Wait. I'm looking this up. All right, you just need to relax for a second. Come on, show me the money. I'm not going to find this fast enough. Wait. Nope. Okay. Maybe I did. No, maybe I did. And I didn't. I lied. I can't find it. Cool.
Told you.
Terrible. Yeah.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.